Hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you. So it's not just me. This all hasn't been a ruse. There is an audience of people, but I'm scared to lift anything in case I ruin it all. So if you just want to kind of say what you've got prepared.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do a little introduction myself and what I do here. And I know today's topic pretty much is AI, machine learning, chatbots. Not an area of expertise for me, but I know a little bit. I know the importance of it for social media and so on. And then happy to take any questions after that. So, but a little bit about myself is my name's John. I am an engineering manager here at Twitter. I oversee what we call internally the Bluebird team, which is the team for the app itself, and the live video team, the live video effort. So I manage a combination of software engineers and tests, as well as manual, what we call apps QA engineers. And we have a team, our QA team is about 35 people or so. So just touching on today's topics, the AI machine learning. Machine learning for us here at Twitter and in social media has been huge last year or two. We've been implementing it where we see fit, and I'm sure Facebook, Snapchat, Amazon, Google, all those companies are doing the same. We use it extensively for ads targeting, timelines quality, fighting abuse, search, and onboarding. When you onboard, we want to sort of give you the best accounts to follow based on any information we have on you and any of your history in the previous history. And then going on to that, I think it's really a crucial part of serving our end users better across all of social media. The better we can serve the end users, the better the experience is for you. One thing that we try and do is we're all about what's happening at the moment, and any news that's going on, we want to be able to present that news to you based on your interests before you even search for it. So I think a good example for me is recently in San Francisco here, there's actually been a lot of fires going on in the city, just randomly in the last 10 days. It's something I use Twitter for quite often, so I'll go and find out where the fire is, what the impact is, and so on. And machine learning, it works in a way where as soon as I log on, it'll present SFFD's Twitter account with what's going on, where they are, the impacts of the fire, what alarm the fire is, and so on. So that's kind of where machine learning for us is really crucial to improving our product here. And then I guess, I know I mentioned to Amy that I would talk a little bit too about the trends of testing and QA here in the Bay Area in San Francisco. One thing I think what I've noticed, I come from a manual QA background. I started work at MBNA in Chester and worked in legal in general as a contractor before moving over here. Is we've definitely seen apps or manual QA engineers, the market's smaller, but I personally don't think it would ever sort of disappear or go away completely. We've seen a strong growth in software engineers to test and qualified developers and engineers who build integration tests and system tests to test the back end of the system. And the team we run here is about 50. It's really a combination of manual and software engineering tests. And we do like to team the two up on certain products. So for instance, timelines on tweets, on the tweets team, we have somebody who's testing all the integration services and all the back-end services, making sure that our prediction algorithms are working correctly and that we're serving the most relevant tweets to you. All that's being tested by one of our engineers. And then the UI and the interface is being tested by one of our apps engineers. We find it works very well. I'm aware that many other companies like ours are doing pretty much the same thing. We've had a handful of people move from a manual background to a more technical role over the course of their duration here, which I usually encourage, because I do see the manual QA sort of, as I said, I don't think it's ever going to disappear, but the market for it is getting a bit smaller, and it is harder to find good lucrative roles for employees here. But yeah, I think that's pretty much just the introduction I had. I'd love to field any questions or hear from any of you. I would really appreciate it, if there is any.
Who's first? Phil?
Very quiet.
He's just raising his hand.
I think I've got a question. with something as vague as, you know, people's interests, things they like, I mean, how do you purely just go about testing something like that? Because it seems to be sort of, I'm going to use the term fuzzy logic. It was a term that I think was around back in the 70s. Is it still like that? Is it still a best guess, or is it much more cut and dried nowadays?
It's a little bit better than a best guess. It's very hard for us to test it. For a lot of the algorithms, we test that the algorithms are integrated and are serving the system well. But for us to actually test the algorithms in order to ensure that they're serving the best possible information for people is pretty much out of our hands. We have one or two things that we're able to do, but we do a lot of unit testing within the own development teams to ensure that those algorithms are working as expected. But as far as a QA engineer going in and checking that, it's very difficult, I think. I know from a manual side, we did it before we had enough software engineers test. We used to check some of that stuff as a manual engineer, and they would set up accounts and like certain things and ensure that they're being served tweets along the same context as that. But again, it's a little bit like fuzzy logic, as you said. But there's more, I suppose. There's a lot more technical side to it than we in QA deal with on a frequent basis. We fortunately have a lot of some of the world's best machine learning experts here who create those algorithms and do unit testing in order to verify those, and we ensure they integrate well with the system as opposed to testing that themselves.
Like, have you had any big surprises out of it? Or anything funny arise out of it that's unexpected?
We see some funny stuff all the time. I think big surprises, I know one thing that we've been working on pretty closely is onboarding, and I mean, at Twitter, I'm sure a lot of people are aware, we have not the best history in retaining people who sign up. So if you sign up, I remember I had a friend sign up back home when I joined, and she joined, she's like, what do I do now? I was like, go follow who you want to follow. And she's like, I don't know who I want to follow. And she never used Twitter again. And we started implementing logic to serve you better users and better people to follow, to make it more interesting. And there's been talk about potentially following groups and interests. And if you like a certain football team or you like a certain city or anything like that, you can follow that interest, and then you'll get more information about it. So to try and better your experience as a whole. But as far as stories go, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Sure, they'll come to you. Anyone else? Questions? Claire, maybe? You're welcome.
I'm always around. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. If anybody thinks of anything else afterwards and just wants to reach out and chat, I'm always happy to talk about it, about what we do. Once I start talking about Twitter, I can't really stop. I really enjoy working here. I think I've come from a handful of backgrounds completely different to what I'm doing now. I came from clinical trial software and FDA compliance testing, which is really strenuous and rigorous. And is very, very, very different to what we do here. My experience in banking software, I've done clinical trial software, and Twitter's kind of like the Wild West, where we don't even get our hands on everything in the company. Things get shipped without our knowledge sometimes. There's so many engineers putting so much out that it's really it's interesting for us to see how these things come around, and every team works. So a different startup team works a little bit differently. There's no need for process as far as regulatory authorities go. Since I've started, we've started implementing more process and trying to get things a little bit more organized than they were. 5, 6, 7 years ago, if a developer built something, he would just put it in production without being tested. And having hundreds of million users is kind of terrifying. So now we've started improving that and doing bit by bit. We have been an at-will organization almost as a QA organization for a while, where it's a team would look at what we do and see what we could bring to a team, and they'd ask us to help out and test their software. In the last few weeks alone, there's been a huge shift in the view of QA to our credit. We've been asked by some of the most senior people in the company to really kind of become an essential part of their process, part of their shipping, how they build products. So for us, it's been a big couple of weeks. But previously it was been kind of scary at times when you see we send out visible changes emails when something gets shipped, and immediately I go and look at who was involved. And if I don't see one of my engineers on, I start to panic. We have shipped stuff that we haven't even been aware of. It just kind of got built and got thrown out there, and then all of a sudden it's immediately available to 100 million users, sort of 300 million users, without being adequately tested. It can be terrifying. We do our best to not let that happen anymore.
Are you doing anything to address GDPR?
We are. We have an enormous GDPR effort going on at the moment that half of my team just got pulled into in the last few weeks. We have software already which was used for regulatory authorities. If they were filing a criminal charge against somebody, they could request information from us. And we are now making that product pretty much available to the public to request their own information on themselves. So there's an enormous company effort going on at the moment to ensure that we're compliant with that.
Good question.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know last month when we were talking about partaking this, I didn't really know that much about GDPR, but typically at Twitter we leave things to the last minute. So now I know quite a bit about it, and it's this time next month I'll probably know a lot about AI and machine learning.
Excellent. Yes.
Hi. So when you've got when you're trying to convince teams where testing is currently optional, and you're trying to convince them to do more testing, what are the first 3 discussions that you would have with the team?
That's a very good question. I had that conversation with a team last week. It's actually a team based in London who run our TweetDeck team. So TweetDeck is a product that a lot of journalists tend to use, and it's accessible to everybody. It's a different way of seeing Twitter, which is really cool. So I spoke to them about, they've asked for QA help and what we can do for the team. And the first thing I said was, we want to be involved from day one. From when you're planning your product, when you're planning your features, we want to have input. We want to say what works and what doesn't work. And the sooner we can get involved, the better. It's already a pretty extensive product, so the next step is to kind of retroactively create test cases and test plans for what is there now, and ensure that what they have is working as expected, and that we are delivering what we should be delivering. And then thirdly was they have a lot of new features coming up, and there's rumors of potential premium service and things like that, which obviously would include different features and things that they're building or haven't built. Would be to immediately start scoping that out and planning that. It's an enormous task to undertake already, as it's a pretty big product, but to try and get our hands in there just to kind of ensure the quality from day one is crucial, I think. And the downside is at the moment, resource-wise, it's very hard for us to cover it. So I think the first step that we're planning on taking is to get in there and retroactively set up tests for what is there, what has been there, and ensure that our regression team is running through that on a regular basis, just to ensure the consistency is there, and then look at focusing on the new product as soon as we're able to. Yeah, headcount here is almost treated like a commodity at times. Managers trade headcount back and forth, and resources always stretch, which I'm sure is the same in almost every company. So.
Any more questions?
Because we've been talking about chatbots and artificial intelligence, and could you talk a bit about, I understand Twitter's having has issues with crowding hashtags and trying to prevent topics from some people having ulterior motives and trying to block news coming out. I don't know if you could talk us through that and the issues you've been facing.
Yeah, and we're trying to tackle that by machine learning and tracking what's going on, and then implementing potentially bots to combat those and to fix those. It's very hard for us. I think we're always on the fight against abuse, and always on the fight against improving product safety. I think Jack, our CEO, has been pretty clear in stating that it's always going to be an uphill battle. We're never going to eradicate it. It's never going to be finished. There's always going to be work to be done, and at the moment there's hundreds of millions of people who can create these bots and these these abuse mechanisms to target us, and there's a handful of engineers fighting that. So trying to stay ahead of that is very, very difficult. And we are doing our best, and I think product-wise, I totally understand we get beaten up in the press quite often. There's really a genuine sense of trying to improve, getting kicked out of the room in a second. There's a genuine sense of trying to improve the quality of the product and improve the user experience, even if it comes at a monetary loss for us or a financial sort of impediment for our growth. We would rather losers who are not real users than try and capitalize on the unfortunate circumstances that we're in.
Good, thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much, Jon, for Skyping in.
It's been a pleasure. I've been looking forward to it for ages.
Thank you, yes, us as well, so thank you very much.
Cool. And feel free to reach out with anything else. I'm always happy to.
Cool. I'll share your Twitter on the Manchester Tester Gathering so everyone can see and get in touch.
Perfect. Great. Appreciate
All right, thanks, Jon.
Okay.
Enjoy your day.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye.